Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. You may be saying, Penny, Christmas is over, but not for everyone, and I personally spent my Christmas working hard for you on watching some truly terrible horror movies. So today we are doing a little holiday horror post-mortem. I have had such an adventure watching some of these movies, and you guys said that you wanted to know what I thought about them. So we're going to do that today. So for those who do not know, I was a little bit of a latecomer to the horror genre. I have always been a wimpy kid, we'll say. Famously, I was afraid of a commercial for Nightmare Before Christmas that was on a VHS tape that I had. And so I really never delved into horror in general, and definitely not into holiday horror until a few years ago. My very first Christmas horror movie was, in fact, the famous Black Christmas. I watched this for the first time in 2023, but Black Christmas was not only an original holiday horror movie, but it is recognized today as being the very first slasher film. So if you are interested in more details about that movie, I would recommend that you check out my podcast, Ghouls Night In, where I did a full episode talking about Black Christmas, some of the history behind it, as well as its impact. We'll talk about that a little bit today, but if you really want to dig in, I would recommend checking that out. And you know what? We're just, spoiler alert, we're going to get into it right now. If you are like, I'd like to watch a holiday horror movie, but I don't know what, just watch Black Christmas. Watch the original Black Christmas. That's all you really need, honestly. That one's really solid. It's a fun slasher, and it has some bits and bobs that you really definitely see through other horror movies. So I am always trying to kind of expand my understanding of the horror genre, and sometimes that means watching movies that I know that I will not like for scientific purposes. So we'll say in advance that I don't like a lot of movies, and if you love some of these movies, I respect it. I see why people may watch some of these, but we're just gonna get into it. So as I said, Black Christmas is really the original holiday horror and is really still, in my opinion, like the top tier. It's not that much about Christmas, really. Like it's a murderer that's happening at Christmas time. And Christmas does play into the fact, obviously, that, people are maybe going to be gone and you won't realize that they're missing until too late. But I also watched To All a Good Night, which is basically the same movie but worse. So this is also a like sorority drama thing. People are flying in on planes for some reason, and then there is a murderer who is dressed, in fact, as Santa, but it really doesn't have a whole lot to do with the plot of the movie. Unlike Silent Night, Deadly Night, very famous, has a remake that came out this year. I have not seen the remake yet. I was really watching all of this at home on my various streaming services. I was trying to get the most out of that Shudder membership, as I'm sure many of you Dracula fans can relate to. Silent Night, Deadly Night was not really what I expected. Like, I know it has this reputation as just being kind of like a schlocky Christmas horror flick, but it's actually really weirdly intense. There's like a very realistic, almost like drama plot line in this, and you just end up feeling really bad for this poor kid who is so traumatized and keeps trying over and over to not be involved with Christmas and with Santa, but just keeps on getting forced into it until some bad stuff happened. This one is very much about Christmas and Santa, so I give it extra points for that. It is truly a movie that is about the holidays. However, none of these involve holiday magic of any kind. These are just kind of straightforward, real people doing real murder. Santa's sleigh, Slay, but not like sleigh, like sleigh, is in fact about actual Santa doing murder, which it's not a good movie. If you have not watched this one, it does feature a wrestler playing Santa and just ripping shit up. I will say the parts with like the Santa violence are the best parts of the movie. All of the stuff connecting it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, is pretty goofy, but I do respect that they actually have a Santa Claus involved. If you are not aware, this is in fact a film where Santa has been a bad guy this whole time, and he lost a bet to an angel, which has forced him to be good and deliver presents for 1,000 years. But now it's done and he's gonna get some revenge. So kind of a goofy watch, not too bad for kind of a fun holiday movie night. I didn't want to include it in here because I don't think it really counts. Obviously, we do have Violent Night, which also includes Santa doing violence. But I would say Santa is kind of surprisingly absent from a lot of these. I don't know if it's just because he's like too good that you feel like bad, because what is really the kind of hallmark in my opinion of Christmas horror are Christmas creatures. A lot of these movies are about creatures. We of course have the famous Christmas creature film Gremlins, as well as the rare exports, is that what it's called? I did not end up watching that one for this, but I did watch A Creature Was Stirring, which has a creature, has maybe some additional twist to it. That one is incredibly bad, and I was actually really mad that I watched it and was kind of deeply insulted for having spent my time watching this film. So I wouldn't recommend that one. But I do enjoy, what did I watch? So this was, all right, I felt a little bit unsure whether Krampus counts as a Santa or as a creature. He's kind of in the middle. I've got my Krampuses on today. I did watch the film Krampus with Toni Collette and Adam Scott, which I also was not super into. I really thought they had some interesting ideas with the creatures. I give them a lot of points for their creativity, for how they kind of incorporated a variety of different Christmas aesthetics and kind of items into the horror, but I thought everybody in it sucked and were unpleasant people, and so I didn't really care about any of them. So that was a bummer. I know there's a lot of other kind of Krampus and Krampus adjacent films, which I did not end up catching. If you have one that you really like, do let me know. I probably won't like it, but I will watch it for you and let you know what I think. One that I have to give a shout out to, I guess, is It's a Wonderful Knife, which was also not good, but was creative. I feel like it's surprising to me that there's not more kind of straight up Christmas parodies, just because we have so many like famous Christmas movies. Like you could do like a Christmas Carol that was like a full horror. I feel like that would be really fun. Maybe there is that. If I shout out any of these things and you know one, let me know and maybe I'll check it out next year, because I think I've wrapped up. I took the chance of, having a few extra days to squeeze a few more in there, and I think I've kind of filled myself up on those holiday horrors. But creatures are really the focus, and I think that it's easy to kind of have like a non-human, just kind of like scoundrel type of thing for a holiday. It does give you a good opportunity to kind of set aside some of the concerns about like morality that might come along with a slasher or another horror film during the holiday season. You don't worry about having like a member of your cast be the bad guy. I did also watch There's Something in the Barn, which is one that I think that the concept was really fun and was interesting, but once again, as with Krampus, I just hated everybody in the movie, so it didn't do a whole lot for me. I was just kind of like, yeah, these people should probably get murdered by Christmas elves. Like, that seems about right. I support the elves in their mission there. But going back to It's a Wonderful Knife, which is, of course, as you can probably guess, a It's a Wonderful Life parody, with a gal who fights a slasher on Christmas and then wishes that she had never been born, and of course ends up in a horrible world where the slasher has continued to run loose and keep murdering people without her having stopped them. So that one was interesting. Like I said, it had some not some parts that were not so great, but it does, spoiler, have a sapphic romance, which is a huge plus in my book. And I did just really appreciate that they did something a little bit different. It felt very much like a Hallmark Christmas movie, but scary, which I think is kind of an underrepresented kind of segment of Christmas horror. I think that there's a lot of traction in kind of the horrors intrinsic in the season, and I know that's something that the Boulet brothers mentioned, and they did have their Holiday of Horrors short film collection out this year, which was kind of a 50-50 split for me. The first one I didn't like that much. The second one I thought was like a cute skit, like it was fun. The third one I also was not that into, and then the fourth, the kind of claymation spoof horror, was, I think, definitely the most successful of those, and once again was something that played really close to kind of our nostalgic experience of Christmas media, Rankin Bass animated, puppeteered Christmas specials, and kind of twisting that into something that was horrible and terrifying. And I thought that that was really fun and really successful. But I would love to see more like things that are a traditional Christmas movie that has a horror twist, but they still have to be like charming. Like I feel like Krampus would say that that's what they were doing, where they kind of like set up this like family drama, and then it was like, whoops, turns out we're all gonna get murdered by Krampus. But didn't quite make it there for me, which is too bad, because like Toni Collette and Adam Scott, I saw they were in there, and I was like, oh well, this will be great then, right? And it didn't really do it for me. That is a roundup of the holiday horror that I have been enjoying mostly this year, a few past years, but I would love to know what your favorite holiday horror is, and if you enjoy this kind of general genre review, let me know. I do love to talk about movies. I feel bad that a lot of the times I don't like them. I could also do, maybe we'll do like a talk about some of my favorite films and what kind of draws me to them, if that makes sense. But there's also like I enjoy watching movies even if I don't necessarily think the movie is good, if that makes sense. I think that's partly just because I am a storyteller and a creator of things, so like I like to kind of see how different people piece their stories together, and sometimes it works for me, and sometimes there are things that I would like them to do differently, but I do my best, and I hope if you celebrated, you have a happy Christmas and a wonderful New Year. I am going to try to continue to make videos in the new year. I know we took a little bit of a break here, but I do want to make videos. I want to stay in better touch with you guys, and I am looking forward to hopefully something that feels a little bit fresh, a fresh, cool start. Still definitely in hibernation mode, taking it easy, but I would love to see you around. So if you enjoyed this and you want to see more, please do like and subscribe, follow along. You can follow the podcast as well. We're Ghouls Night In, Ghouls Night In Pod on Instagram. And otherwise, you can find me here. And sometimes I have writing or blog posts or other things over on my Patreon. And shout out, much love always to my beautiful patrons who have supported me and still love me even when I have to hibernate for a while. So have a happy new year. I'll see you in the new year, and stay safe until then. Goodbye.